Hello and welcome back to my channel for another video. Today's video is going to be episode 4 of my Afghanistan series. Now I want to quickly apologise for two things. One, not posting last week. I've been having a lot of trouble with my PC, and to say it sounded like a car with a V12 engine revving at full whack would possibly be an understatement. It was loud and not great, so I've been working on it as much as I can to try and get it working for this week, because last week it just gave up entirely. So I've had it apart and I've been working on it, and I have somehow, touch wood, managed to get it to work for now. It's not going to be a permanent thing to keep it. It's more of a to get this video and possibly next week's video done, and then we can work on Millennium Dawn, as I will have my new PC very, very shortly. I know it's been a long time since I said I was going to get it originally, but it's the Easter holidays now, and I will 100% be getting it before the end of the next 2 weeks. So in a video's time, probably not next week's video, might be, who knows, but definitely the video after next week, which will be the one after Afghanistan episode 5, will be a Millennium Dawn gameplay on my new PC, which hopefully you guys will enjoy. Now today, obviously, Afghanistan. Press continue here so we can hop into the game. Obviously, I'm aware that 10 days ago at this point, wow, it's been a long time, a new Hearts of Iron 4 DLC did come out, which was called Warships of the Pacific, which I have got. I was wrong in thinking that there was going to be any new nations. Got my DLCs mixed up, I must be honest. So, unfortunately, no new nations in that sense, but there will still be some new features here and there, like some battleships and stuff like that, hopefully, to appear, which we might see in here, we might not. I'm not particularly going to go out of my way to show them. If I'm playing a nation like America or Japan, then yeah, you will probably see them or see mention of them. But beyond that, I would have to say I would doubt it's going to pop up in Afghanistan, but I've seen weirder things happen, so you never know. But if we happen to find them while we're playing Afghanistan, then, well, surprise. If we don't, then, well, expected. But right, so just catching up with where we were left off the last time we filmed a video on this save game. We are better than I thought we were, because I remember back to when we were being pushed massively by the British Raj and weren't in a great position. So at least we've got a base to stand on, which is good, but our current goal is to push forward, finish British Raj, and hopefully be able to focus on other areas of the conflict. Now, we're going to turn the weather off here in game, because it will just make things a bit more difficult to operate and to understand. So we'll turn that off, and then we'll work forward from there. So that is good. Now we will continue. It's pretty much the next thing we're going to do. So I'm going to manually move a couple of troops here just to try and create some pockets, encirclements, and the rest of that sort of thing, to try and speed it up a little bit effectively. So we'll hope that this goes quite rapidly, possibly the word to use. Yeah. So we'll leave that front to pretty much manage itself because it should be able to do so. We need to now go up here because sort of forgot we were at war with Xinjiang. So it's been a bit neglected, but we're here and we can focus on it again, which is obviously good because it means we can make progress. So we need to basically just continue sort of putting the pressure on to push the front line further into their territory instead of further into our territory. Let's do that because that'll solve that issue hopefully. So we'll try and capture their capital here. Obviously it's a long shot with the way we're trying to do it. It's a sort of shot in the dark effectively, and we're just trying it any way we can to achieve what we want to do. Where that's not going to end well. Oh, Xinjiang has surrendered. Well, that didn't take long. So we'll take all of Xinjiang here, which is good. That just gives us even more territory to own, and then we can sort of build a little empire here, hopefully rather quickly. So what we're also going to do here is we're going to get rid of these front lines here because they're absolutely useless and no one needs them. Now we can come back down and focus on the one front line that we have now, which is really good. It's all nice and unified and moving forward. Now I'm worried that they're attacking out of the pocket here, but it's alright because we can just encircle them, defeat the unit and move in to capture the tile, I think. I mean, I struggle to remember what things are called in this game, whether it's tile or province or something along those lines, but we'll capture whatever it's called. Better word would be encirclement, but oh well. We'll continue advancing here. What I would like to do is get across to this sort of river here, especially this little bit here, because that would give us some advanced sort of positions and would allow us to sort of take our current position and advance it for our own advantage, which is always a positive thing to do. So we'll continue just slowly taking it piece by piece here, just not wanting to overrun supply lines or anything of that sort of thing. But yeah, we also actually I didn't think we were that far ahead. So we're on the border of Bombay here, which is our current temporary capital or new capital, whatever you want to call it. It's a capital, and it's about to be ours. So we'll make that happen. I would like to try and take this port here, not because we need it, not because it's useful, but because it would cut them in two, and it would also, well, be slightly funny, but beyond that, it's quite useful for sort of wrapping this war up a bit sooner than possibly planned, or, well, by sooner than planned, I mean, I wasn't expecting it to be literally right now, but we'll take it. So what we'll do here is we're just going to move some units in to each of these pockets to try and close them up, and hopefully this should clear out the pockets and give us full control over the British Raj. And then obviously we'll need to build some railways for supply and all that sort of thing, but it should all go well here hopefully. So we'll move in here. Then we'll move these guys in here. They'll need to go over a little bit more land, but that's alright. And then these guys will go down here. And there we go. That should start to sort itself out a little bit. And hopefully that all closes itself up quite nicely here in a moment. Which we now have to wait for it to happen. But if it does close up, that'd be really nice, because it would give us much more an advantage towards taking what we want and integrating it into our empire, I guess you could say. I've honestly forgotten what our name is. It is we're an emirate, so technically an empire, but it's fine. Oh, the Great Chinese War. Always happens, every single time. So that's a little bit of a issue for us, because we have, I'm going to say, quite a few goals to achieve in China, or the sort of Chinese Asia region, which, if Japan's at war with China, then we can't really go to war with any Chinese nation, because we're just going to get drawn on the side of Japan, and then China's going to join the Allies, or at least their side, and then it's just going to become what can only be described as a world war, which I think we could use a little less of, considering what we've already fought through in this game already. But considering how the game is made and what the game is based for, which is a World War II game, we're about 2, maybe 3 years away from World War II, which doesn't pose well. Sorry, cannot speak today apparently. I forgot British Burma existed. Well, that would have been fun. That would have been really interesting if I had just forgotten British Burma existed and they just started pushing back to my capital. Fun in a way that wouldn't have been good. So what we'll do here is we'll set up. Okay, I'm struggling apparently today. We'll set up a front line. Already did that. We'll set up a frontline plan, attack plan. What is this called? Offensive line. So we have an offensive line now. You can tell I've taken a week off and forgotten everything about the game. So we'll send some troops over here. As you can see, they're immediately advancing out here. So we need to push back, but obviously our troops are getting into the region now as we sent them over there to hopefully sort of knock down things a little bit. Also, I'm just remembering back to when I started this video a few minutes ago, 12 to be sort of somewhat precise, and I said there was 2 things I was going to address, and I only addressed one, technically, which was the PC not working last week. The second thing was this video is probably going to be a bit late due to the fact OBS was updating today, so I do apologise for that, but wasn't much I could do in result of it. But luckily it wasn't too long, but it did push the schedule back a little bit, so I do apologise for that. But we're starting to take some territory in British Burma here, which basically all I'm doing is sort of taking one little tile, and that will sort of force the AI, or I think it's the AI. Is it the AI or the CPU or what? I don't even know anymore. Yeah, whatever the thing is operating the troops of mine that are just doing automatic things. Yeah, whatever that is now gonna make advances. Yeah. Anyway, we're hoping to maybe cut them in 2 here in a second. We'll see how I feel about it. The answer is yeah, we'll do it. So we'll send some troops across here in hopes that we can cut them in 2. I mean, I am sort of worried for the northern portion of this offensive plan, considering that we are losing ground. But I'm not too worried because I know we will soon gain it back. it's pretty much a fact of as soon as we take out British Burma, they will have nowhere to really supply themselves again, and we should be pretty much good from there. So that's good. Right, and also the sort of, I don't know whether it's to call it a knife or a sort of straight line defensive plan straight through their nation, but whatever it is, it's going very well, which is really, really good to see. And then the north is also coming along a little bit better now. We're about to take some tiles back, and we're slowly pushing them back across the border again, and then following them across the border and continuing to push them back even further. Because we don't only want to take our territory back, we also want to take the entirety of British Burma out. Otherwise, they could be a potential issue here in the future. And ideally, I'd like to take them out in this episode, British Burma. Finish off British Raj, which keeps coming back from the dead every 5 minutes, which I would really wish it wouldn't, but it will. So we'll take that out, clean up front lines a bit, and then we can go to whoever either will go with, and I don't know anymore. Chinese nation, France, Portugal, Soviet Union. That is a very, very interesting selection of nations. Oh well, fair enough then. To be fair, what would be a good idea here would be to use the Chinese United Front as a sort of advantage, in order to use it to advance forward into all of China and gain even more land. Because that would really be quite useful. Because not only would it mean we've got a couple less enemies to worry about in the future, but it also mean we have a lot more territory to take home with us. So that might be an option we pursue in the next episode, possibly. But it will be a massive, massive conflict, and it will take a lot of time to take all of China. But we might try it anyway. Biggest thing for now is to try and split them in two, and I have just completed such an operation, so that is good. Now we will continue advancing to close the 2 pockets that we have now, and hopefully they will soon close in good time. Right, so we'll check on the southern pocket here, where we are attacking towards their capital, which is actually well defended here. Which isn't a surprise, to be fair, because it's their capital and it should be well defended. But I don't see many of their troops. I mainly see possibly New Zealand troops, Australia's troops. It's a Belgian Congo. I'll be surprised, but it would be expected. Possibly Belgian Congo troops. Canadian troops, okay. Quite a few troops of nations I wouldn't expect to see defending, well, the British Burma's capital. But anyway, these things happen in Hearts of Iron 4 quite often, apparently. Right, so how are we getting on up north of British Burma? We're actually advancing at a decent sustained rate here, which isn't bad at all. We'll just continue the sustained rate here. Actually, we'll move these down here to close up more of that. But taking it quite a good pace here, should hopefully have their capital fairly soon. There you go, we'll hopefully charge it up through their capital here. It would be nice to take their capital, but we'll see how it goes here in a minute. because they do have a lot of troops in theatre effectively, so it would be nice to sort of see how it's all going from a sort of bigger picture in a sense, and hopefully it should be fine, but we'll have a look. Their capital is now encircled, which is a positive sign, but yeah, we'll see how it's going here in a second. We'll also draw a front line to close the pocket off, because it'd be quite useful to do so. We just basically need to throw like 100 troops at it, and it'll probably be surrounded and surrender, which would be quite nice. But also a nice port would be useful here as well, which we have a lot of ports, we just haven't constructed any sort of railways from them to the front lines, which we should probably have done about 5 minutes ago, but that's alright. We'll just construct a nice railway down into here, and then we'll construct a railway from here to here, and then from here across to here, and that's British Burma fully surrendered and given up there. But we still have some sort of leftovers, you could say, from the British here that still are not quite settled on surrendering, which is okay. We can obviously fight them back to, well, as far as they are willing to go. So we'll do that here now, which hopefully we should close the two pockets in a moment and continue forward. Which we're hopefully closing this sort of southern pocket pretty much now. There you go, that's them encircled, and we now should be closing in on the pockets and sort of looking to remove them, which would be quite good because there'll be a few less troops on the battlefield for anything else we have planned. Now apparently they're planning a naval invasion here on Iran, which, to be fair, wouldn't surprise me, because it's actually quite close proximity to our sort of stuff, which I would also like to see if I could get a war go on Iraq, to sort of push into Iraq and take it. So what I might do here, I can't justify a war goal. Why can I not justify a war goal? We need world tension of 50%. How is world tension not a 50% if I'm going to war with practically everyone? I don't understand. But whatever. That's British Burma completely surrounded now. We'll go into the focus tree here and look for anything else that we can do that might cause a little bit of world tension increase, hopefully. Right, so that's just forming a faction, which we're not going to do. Right, that's about reclaiming Xinjiang, that's Soviet Union. Yeah, we'll do that. Right, so we'll get that focus started while we're here. We now need to move over this way. Who other war go with? Forgot. Xinjiang Ma? Who even knows anymore? So it's not there, because none of them share that sort of name. It's this one here. Okay. Xinjiang Ma. So we'll put troops here, because it's closest to their capital. And then we'll basically just start moving forward from there. Now that purple colour is close to the blue there, considering terrain's slightly different, so colour can variate due to that. I thought they were in the Chinese United Front, and I'm proven to be correct. That is, in a weird turn of way, rather useful for us, because it means we can have the majority of China. I don't want to say free of charge, but I mean, there's a charge of I have to go in and take it, but beyond that, then yeah, it's technically free of charge to a sense. But we'll go in, we'll take it, and it'll be somewhere. Except what's just happened. Great. So what's just happened there is the British and the French have decided to pair up and join the same faction, which means we're now at war with the French, which doesn't pose well for the fact of how many borders I have with France and its overseas territories, which I now have to go and slowly capture. So we're going to migrate down from going up to take things to going down to take things instead. And we're going to use some constant commands here, otherwise we're going to lose a lot of territory. And we'll get the troops on the border here, ready to go once they get some supply. So, let's go. Right, so immediately engaging here, which is good. We just basically need to hold off this encirclement as long as we can, and sort of try and close it up as well, if possible. So I'll take these divisions and close this bit up here, and then hopefully it'll all be nice and closed very quickly here, which is the idea anyway. We are slowly knocking them back here, which is really good. I would like to knock them all the way back, but it might take a second or two to do so. But we should achieve it at some level, which would be quite nice to do. So we'll take these divisions here and close in here. And then once that's closed, we can then start to finish off the encirclement progress. We'll send some troops in here to the original French territory that everyone's attacking out of, and we'll start to close that away and seize it so they can't use it for their own advantage, and that's France knocked out of the area in its entirety. Now we'll take our troops over here and try and knock out this bit of France over here, and that should be pretty much all the bits of France, that border us, all nice and taken care of, which would be quite nice to have done in this episode. And we'll go to war with China in the next one. So let's advance forward here in the hopes of us taking as much as possible, as fast as possible, because speed is quite nice to have when you're doing things like this and sort of filming it in the way I do at the minute. I want invasions to go as sort of rapidly as possible to our side, so that way, you know, I can achieve taking 2-3 countries in an episode, and the next episode I can do the same or more. So that's sort of the idea to it. But hopefully it will be nice and secure in our holdings here in France in a second. We'll take these guys here. They'll take up this bit, basically creating a bridgehead here, because realistically we've got, I'm going to call them tiles, could be wrong, one tile of an entrance, so if we can create more tiles, create a bigger front line, it's harder for them to defend. And to be fair, they have no troops in the area anyway. Now I said that troops are going to arrive, that's fine. I am prepared for them. But I just wasn't expecting such a easy advance into the territory, is what I'll say. But anyway, we're at war with France, and we'll go and take the territory away from them. What I'm going to do here is, because we're running a little bit low on supply, I'm going to go and cover up this front line here and sort of create a small encirclement as well, hopefully giving us a little bit more land and a portal too along the way. But we'll see how it goes. Which we are actually advancing with some pace here, which is really nice. But we'll see what sort of pace it looks like at the end of this sort of spearhead invasion. We'll move that unit over there. So they are advancing quite quickly here, which is quite good. And hopefully we will gain a port here in a minute. However, I have just seen this pop up, which means British Raj has now re-established itself to be a thorn in my side again, which is not fun. But I reckon if I take these 15, actually 20, and no one's got any supply. Okay, well, we'll take these 22 divisions instead then. Actually, no, we'll deal with it next episode, I reckon. Yeah, it's probably a good point to end the episode there. So, if you did like this video, please do like, subscribe, and turn on your post notifications when you do subscribe, so you never miss another upload from me. And next episode, next video will be the next episode of my Afghanistan game. It will be episode number 5 and the final episode at that of the series. And then after that we'll be moving on to Millennium Dawn, to do a game or two on there, which will be nice and fun. So I shall see you all there, and yeah, see you all in the next episode. Yeah, bye for now. Bye.